chapter. It depends where we are. It gets really, really hot in different places. Like, you wouldn't believe how hot. And it's not hot outside. It's just all this crap that's in the air that makes it really hot. So, don't mind me. I'm just sweating my ass off. Okay, so the makeup looks okay. Sorry guys, sometimes I have my makeup on and sometimes I don't. I'm just trying to do whatever I need to do right now. Okay, so, ow, I'm very uncomfortable right now and in a lot of pain. So, let's read chapter 8. I'm reading out of DanceWarrior from Cancer to Dancer. I have a feeling we're never going to have to deal with cancer again after all this mystical, toxic dust, whatever the hell it is out of our environment. You know, it's really not that hard to get it out. We were thinking about how to do that. If we had money, like a lot of money, really not that hard to engineer something. You know, like a big, giant vacuum cleaner in a sense. But interestingly enough, the environment will take care of most of it if these assholes would stop dispensing it. That's the thing, too. No, anyway. Onward. Oh, Noelle Rose Anderson -Kale. And sending you love. Raw, real, uncensored. DanceWarrior. Hashtag that. I'm just... I don't know. I am so tired. Chapter 8, Cancer to Dancer, let this be my last battleground. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm not broken, but my heart may be frozen. That is so funny. It has so many meanings there, right? There is a beauty all around us. Some may be afraid to let it grow because of what they had to let go. Some are afraid to let it shine because of the woundings of time. Some are afraid because the world can be cruel, but I say all these things help build a strength anew that created the deeper beauty in you. That little poem there. My little poem. Okay, so let's go back to the title. Let this be my last battleground. That is part of a title that I used in my bigger Cancer piece, and I have several sections, and we did it for a lot of let's see, we did sections of it for various showcases and festivals and dance performances, and we also showcased it at actual fundraising things for cancer awareness and hopefully finding a cure. But I mean, the cure is basically stopping all this dust that's in the air. And I did it as an homage to Star Trek, because Let This Be My Last Battleground is the title of one of my former mentors' favorite Star Trek episodes, and the original series, and I'm a nerd a little bit. I mean, the sexy, cute, funny nerd, if that's even a type. But, yeah, my whole family is so into Star Trek, and rightfully so. They should be, because there's a lot of answers. Watch some of that stuff. I'm not kidding. They kind of hint at all of what's Q is and what's going on in our universe, and I like Mirror, Mirror, because it reminds me of what's kind of happening to my life. And we have people trying to pose as my alternate reality life or something. How do you explain this? Like, the fake fraud daughter, apparently, who's been around for about 4 years. Yeah, she's gone to prison. Not happy about that. That's just disgusting. This is a picture from Awakenings and Beginnings Trademark Dance Festival, Los Angeles, and this is Rosewood, choreographed by me. dancers. You see that? It's actually beautiful. That's me being dragged by a dancer. And gotta get. These aren't always printed the same every time we order them. I don't know why. They're not. Okay, Red Rubans would become the name of my dance company since it was the foundation in which. Sorry guys, I'm really fucking hot. In which I used to grow from. I didn't want to be common sounding by calling it Red Ribbons Dance Company, although junior dance ensemble, our junior dance ensemble team is called Red Ribbons Dance Ensemble, or Red Ribbons Dance. We own the translation in English and in French, so no one can use it legally or anything actually. So my husband plainly asked, how do you say red ribbons in French? And I'm like, oh, ruban rouge. It was perfect. I like the catchy play on and lend from the Moulin Rouge, but it has nothing to do with it, obviously. And I was French, so it sounded more artful than red ribbons. No one else was using it, and why would they? It was too unique and a bit odd. It was perfect. The challenges became marketing a French name to an American audience, not getting confused with the AIDS red ribbons too. So that's this is on page 26, on page 27. There we go. The AIDS red ribbon, and not looking like a Christmas gift adornment. I wanted this to work, and with time, patience, and my strong marketing background, I'd make it work. The branding of Rouban Rouge Dance began, and I still had 2 semesters left before I graduated with my associate's degree, my degree. Rouban Rouge Dance Company started actually in December, roughly 2008, roughly, and that was our first performance doing Red Ribbons. So, there you have it. Some people consider when I started actually choreographing the dance, when I started the company, okay, you can do that. But, when I started being listed under Santa Barbara Dance Alliance's wing, so we didn't need to incorporate, or we didn't need a business license or anything. We were just under theirs for a long time. And then we got our own business license after a few years, even though we were underneath, I forget the ones we were under. Fractured Atlas. Something like that. Well, we've been underneath a lot of them. Glendale Arts, which I have a few words for. Oh wow, that mountain looks beautiful.
Yeah, I see it.
Huh?
I see it.
It's very prominent. Very pretty. It's like out in the middle of nowhere. There's no other mountains, and it's just like right there. I gotta show my viewers. Hold on. It's just so odd and so pretty at the same time. Here. It's right. Come on. It's right there. It's just really cool looking. Okie dokie, enough of that. Oh my god, I hate this. Okay. With the inception of my dance company, I developed a repertoire of many dances with varying messages. So we didn't just dance about child abuse or molestation or anything like that. It was a lot of heady subjects, because I've gone through a lot of heady things, unfortunately. And I was drawing from my experiences because that's all I had at the moment. And then I started drawing from life messages and things like that, so it wasn't all about my stuff or my life. You know, we kind of changed it up a little bit here and there, like the Silent Rose. Although now you can kind of see it as a story about my life too, because Q tried to silence me, and Rose is one of my names. So very interesting. Okay, so with the inception of my dance company, I developed a repertoire of many dances of varying messages. There was always the fear of not being able to rise to the height I inadvertently placed this bar of achievement for myself. Still, I rose to the challenge and soared. I was always afraid I could never make a dance good enough as Red Ribbons or the other dances. And I said, oh, I can't make a dance just as good as the Silent Rose. Oh, I can't make a dance just as good as it. And then I just said, you know what? That's not what it's about. It's about the expression and trying to help people. So I got over that whole try to be good or better than my last dance. Or, I don't know why I did that to myself. It's not very fair to do it to myself, but I did. It's an artist thing, I think. We created a board with people of prestige and honor. Some were very familiar with the art world, and others shrewd businessmen who didn't screw around. It depended. They came and went, and a lot of them kind of disappointed us. Sometimes I had family members, and sometimes they'd say, yeah, we'll do it, and then we had their names on the letterhead and everything, and on the website, and then I don't know what happened. It was like, okay, I guess they're not helping us. It was just very confusing. So at this point, I have no idea who's on our board sometimes. I'm like, what the heck? Get out of here. But nobody owns the copyright to my stuff except me and my family. We made sure of that. And if anything happens to us, everything is going to former President Trump. Everything. Like if we all get wiped out, everything goes to him. Because I know he's not going to do anything bad with it. So, and he'll protect it. This is what I needed and loved, an impenetrable fortress that would not tolerate unprofessionalism, bribery, theft, blacklisting, and any of the other craziness that can occur in any industry. I knew I was protected, and should one of them have failed, they would be held accountable by the law and shown no mercy. We're tough. I am extremely kind, but once crossed, consider that you have just burned a bridge forever. I can't take that chance, and apparently there's a good reason why I can't. I just didn't know it at the time. Another beautiful opportunity was presented to me by, I don't want to say the name. She's an amazing lady, actress, motivational speaker, and I admire and had often sought counsel from. She was the first African-American model spokeswoman for Maybelline and has done many roles in TV and film. Besides being gorgeous, she had a heart that loved deeply. So I hope it's still true. I hope so. We'll find out. I might have to rewrite this whole great detailed portion of my book because, yeah, who knows what really is going on sometimes, you know? Hopefully everything's fine with that person. She had asked me and several other women about being part of her book. We were all photographed solely in our raw beauty, very little makeup, if any, and a peach chiffon length of fabric. It was really beautiful, wrapped around us. And what I liked about it is that we all shared the same fabric. So we're all like fashioned together in a sense. We all, not at the same time. It's like one gal would wear the fabric and it was draped completely unique to that person, and then I would wear it and it was draped completely unique to me, and then somebody else. And I really liked that idea, and she did a good job. It was really beautiful. That airy light draping was placed on our bodies in unique ways. Sorry. That seemed to suit each lady perfectly, and the lady who did this put that much care in every detail and made us all feel like goddesses. I loved how we shared the same piece of fabric. Oh my gosh, I'm saying the same thing. I forgot I even said this like this, but we were all woven together with the same cord, and that made this project and our bond even stronger. This is where I was first inspired with Cancer to Dancer. I was featured as a dancer and wrote a short essay of what it meant to be like completely unbound, unhinged, you know, and how I found beauty in myself while having had cancer. The collage of heart-touching stories and soul-bearing photos by many strong and relevant women, I contributed my portion. There is so much beauty in the world, we sometimes tend to overlook it because it can be found in the subtleties of life. One of these subtleties is a wonderful photo book called, and I don't want to say the name again, and both these ladies in the photography, both of these ladies are incredible artists to collaborate with and aimed at bringing out inner beauty in others. And both these ladies specifically showed all of us how to shine, as that was and still is her goal, I think. She's a very important role model in my life. If you don't have this book, I highly recommend getting a copy or several kids. Here's 128, 129. It's bound to touch another woman's heart. But see, I didn't write anything bad about anybody. And, you know, some of these people, and I'm not saying that this person is or anything, but some of these people that I spoke so well of, maybe there's something I don't know and they're not. So let's hope that's not the case, because that would be so sad. But see, I like to write about the good things in people, even though nobody's perfect. There's a lot of bad things I could write about people, but I didn't do it. From the initial performance, I had dozens more to follow that summer. Women's healing and wellness groups contacted me to perform our quartet. We performed at universities and TV shows. The reaction trend was always similar. Dead silence during the performance. A pause after the dance was performed. This is Red Rubans specifically. Subtle applause that would build to a roaring climax. This 4-minute dance, 4 minute and 1 second actually, had a magic of its own and created a movement, and thus my dance company, Rouges Dance, was birthed. My love gift for the bee fly became a love gift for many, and I had more to say. I always say the gift for one became the gift for many. That's how it happened, people. One particular performance at California State University, Northridge in California, surprised me. It was a charming theater, a nice-sized stage, being hosted by One Circle. This group was about preventing child abuse and harnessing the talents and experiences of others to further spread the word and raise awareness in hopes to stop abuse of children. My company's mission fit in well with this group. I expanded the Red Rubans vocabulary and added a second dance piece called Numb. So since I started my company in 2008, I have been making little pieces of the whole. It's now almost 2 hours long, like a 2-hour dance and music and singing production. It's really amazing what I ended up doing with it. And we tour the whole thing, or we'll do excerpts of it, or a short version of it. I have all different things ready to pull out. It's like, what kind of venue do we have? Okay, so we can do this, this, and this, and this piece. And, oh, okay, we don't have that dancer, so we can't do this, but we can do that. You know, so I change it up to fit whatever we're doing, and I've made it work. So we can do it with a large, like huge ensemble, or a very small amount of performers, whatever our budget is, you know. Anyway, it was Numb. It was an expression of getting to the point in your psyche where you cannot take one more breath of pain, so you anesthetize yourself into numbness. Get back up there. It was darker in tone than Red Rubans, if you can imagine that. But I took the chance in presenting this to an audience. It too was well received. A lot of the dancers just love that piece. Okay. After this performance, many approached me and my dancers. There were mostly accolades and some tears. This piece is always accompanied with tears of relief, sorrow, grief, confusion, and a release for many. I don't know what it is when I do dances, even the happier ones. I just know how to somehow grab people's hearts and just... I'm not trying to do that. I'm just expressing my experiences, but that's how harrowing my life has been upon occasion. And I rose above it. I mean, really, look at everything that we've gone through, my family and I, and particularly myself. And I go through very low moments where I'm like, that's it, I'm done. And then something wells up inside of me after I just let it out, cry, yell, scream. Not at anybody, but you know, how you just go out into a big area where there's nobody there and you're just like, ah, or in your car and nobody hears you, right? I hope nobody hears, but it really helps. It dilutes the stress, and I think it's helped me a lot, actually, because this is, I don't know how any one person can endure what I've gone through. I'm not trying to brag on myself, but it's pretty heady. I don't like it. But, and then, you know, I can ramp myself and my heart back up again and be my normal peppy self. It's not easy though, people. It's not easy at all. So you see, now my nose is a lot thinner. I'm telling you, the stuff that's in the air, it makes me swell. And it's brutal stuff. I don't have a very wide nose at all, actually. It's cute, fits my face, you know, but I don't get it, whatever this is. Even their noses swell. One woman said that I had a huge stage presence, and in chatting with me, she said that it was genuine and could tell I was also genuine in person. It wasn't an act, and she felt my authenticity is what amplified my natural aura. I thanked her, although it's hard for me to take compliments after having been through what I've experienced. I said that before. And not being one for public speaking, I found myself jostled in front of several news reporters and video cameras. I stammered and searched for words. I didn't like talking about myself for fear of my words sounding like a brag. I also didn't want to hurt anyone, and my tongue had a history of being a double-edged sword with the ability to build up and inadvertently hurt. My desire to be direct and honest can be soothing, but also, if timed incorrectly, an unintentional dagger. I stumbled through most of the interviews when I focused on the fear. When I concentrated on reaching people's hearts, looked into their eyes, and connected, the fear dissipated, and I did well. Now it's a no-brainer. I don't even get slightly nervous. I don't get nervous when I dance or perform. I just go out there and do it. I see the most thing to get nervous about or scared, if I wanted to be scared, is maybe, and I'm not even afraid of everything that we're going through, and most people would be, but I kind of compare it. It's like all the stuff I've been through and I'm performing. Come on, there's no reason to be afraid. Not at all. Okay. Without placing any over-significance or leaning to influence any specific spiritual direction, my massage therapist told me when lining up my chakras that my heart and my voice are the two strengths of my body. I don't understand all the New Age philosophy and its meaning, but I believed what he said and appreciated it. It was confirmation of what I had been told in the past by others. My fear was walking in these gifts. Public speaking for me was a flaw for me at the time anyway, and yet it was meant for me. We'll get to that. It's page 130 and 131. That's 130. That's 131. Life is a mystery, and one must stand alone. Okay. Yeah, it was meant for me to harness and use to exhort. You know what that word means, exhort. Lift up, pay tribute to, give unto, and build up. Exhort is usually a word used for the Lord Jesus Christ as creator. That is, if he is the creator. I don't know, I'm questioning everything now, I'm telling you. But we'll see. I hired a speaking coach and began the grueling process of overcoming and refining my raw talent to bond with people. Getting the heart and voice to work harmoniously and flawlessly together was daunting, and I teetered with giving up many times. I was a dancer. I chose that first so I wouldn't have to use words to speak. I was afraid of speaking in large groups. One-on-one was fine. My coach taught me proper sitting alignment, how to face the camera, when to address it directly, where on my eye line, meet the interviewer. Yeah, I had a lot of different people helping me. Some of them I will never speak to again. Some of them I will, for various reasons. A cancer treatment destroyed my memory. Recalling words and events clearly was like cutting pieces from a fog, capturing it and sorting through the density. The moment I gained some clarity, it would dissolve into obscurity. To help resolve this, he, that mentor at the time, gave me memory games and homework to improve and reconnect the wiring in my brain. So that worked, And then dancing too, repetition, learning choreography, it really, really helped. This with an enhanced diet improved things greatly. I also enrolled in intensive and advanced professional dance classes and workshops to help my short-term memorization of choreography. One of these classes was taught by, I don't want to say the name again, who was and still is an amazing dancer and a master teacher. She became one of my mentors and now a colleague outside of the school setting. She guided me in so many aspects of producing as well, since she had been producing Celebrate Dance for over 10 years. It was a beautiful evening of dance that brought the dance community together. My company and I attended every year except when we had performances. I also returned, and I didn't see the first two, I don't think so. It kind of started around the time that we moved there to LA. It's interesting. Yeah. I almost feel like sometimes somebody lifted up all these people and to provide a playground for me and people. You know what I mean? It's just a weird sensation. I don't know. Let's find out what really happened though, huh? I also returned to my acting career and acting classes. I was now forced to memorize lines, speak in front of more than one person, and I learned to harness my presence or it factor. Another coach of mine and friend, I won't say the name, he had a part in Pulp Fiction, and then, oh my God, these are big name people you would know. You would know her face. This is another person. She's been in many TV shows, commercials like Star Trek Next Generation, Men from Uncle, Dynasty, and a few other Aaron Spelling productions. She loved dance and dancing and thought it was great that I was successful in this career, although she was a bit biased and thought I should continue acting more. She forced me out of my comfort zone and in her protege's acting improv class. She was tough. Oh boy, was she tough. But loved each of her students and wanted them to succeed. She passed away in 2015, sadly. She struggled with breast cancer like me. She never got to see one of my concerts. She really wanted to go. Oh my God, bless her heart. Hearing of her death sent me downwards. She was and always will be a great woman who will be missed. This fueled the fire inside of me that grew to hate this disease as it consumes so many that I love. More about this later. My vocal coach taught me how to graciously accept compliments and criticism. He slowed down my speech to make it more eloquent and told me to breathe. And then I said, "What did you say?" I asked him with wonder. "No, you just need to breathe." He laughed slightly. Anytime someone spoke that word to me, it really got my attention. Because my husband saved my life. He put his hand on me. And it was like a real big spiritual, mystical moment. It was really cool. Okay, so on page 132, 133. Right there. I think it's a focus. So I'm obviously not using any of these skills that I was taught. I'm just getting this out there because of evil people. And drew me inward to reflect upon each time it was spoken to me. Time would seemingly stop and move forward surrealistically. That word resurfaced at interesting times in my life and said by vastly and drew me inward to reflect upon each time it was spoken to me. Time would seemingly stop and move forward surrealistically. That word resurfaced at interesting times in my life and said by vastly different people. The meaning from when my husband said it to me as I was dying from cancer was carried to the present, and its meaning enlarged. It constantly saved me. We good? Yeah, I think so. Yep. Many people went into the making and remaking of me. I was slowly being put back together and refined. However, as I said before, sometimes your heart can be broken in just that certain way that no one can put it back together except maybe one special person. As I was thinking about this and walking to my SUV, I thought about the bee fly who started me along in my journey. A yellow swallowtail flew over my head. I looked upward and smiled. I wondered how the beautiful stranger was doing. Then it dawned on me that anytime I thought of her, I would see a butterfly. It was really weird. It doesn't quite happen like that anymore, but it did then for a while. I then started referring to her as just that, a butterfly whose wings were ready, but she had not come out of her chrysalis. Now, I'm not talking about menopause. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. Mark right there. Menopause. The name menopause sounds like it's a bunch of men who paused something about women's reproductive organs, and I'm pretty sure it's this mystical, magical dust in the air that's very toxic and causes people, women, to stop menstruating and to stop reproducing and doing all this horrible stuff. So I'm telling you guys, someone needs to stop Q, because all this stuff can be undone. I'm very sure of it. I'm very sure of it. I am just not very happy that people are just, all these years let them get away with it. Menopause. I mean, just think of it. Why call it that? Sick. Very corny, too. These Q people are extremely corny. It sounds like something out of, a comic strip. Menopause. Manowar. It just... It's time to push the menopause button, and then all of a sudden, all these toxic dust comes out in your place, in your home, and they decide, oh, it used to be where women had to take pills to stop it, and they were pressured mentally in doing so. I'm like, why are you listening to this BS for? Women were supposed to reproduce well into the... Watch this asshole here with the truck. I'll flip this camera around so fast, buddy.
We're good.
Alright. And, just all this stuff, it doesn't make any sense. Because my mom and my grandmother had to take pills to stop, because they kept trickling. I'm like, what's that? And we were meant to live a lot longer. And have you noticed that people have been dying a lot younger, in their 60s and 70s, almost on average now? And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not even halfway. We were made to go and go and go and go and go and go for many, 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 many years. And scientists have now come to the conclusion, oh, we should be at least 150, and we shouldn't be getting all old, wrinkly, and saggy and all this stuff. And I'm telling you, every time that we are around this toxic dust, all of us start getting all these cracks and cuts and sagging and wrinkling and all of this. And I'm like, and then when we leave, it heals up. I'm like, well, duh. Compare. Something's going on here. And do you see those videos we did? Did you put the video of the dust up?
I think so, yes.
We gotta put that. You gotta put that on our Twitter, company Twitter wall. Okay, we finally figured out how to record it, because I'm like, I can see it sometimes just in that right light. How do we film this? So we took our knowledge of film and we started capturing it on video. and it is astounding. And it's when it's at its worst, like more particulate matter per square inch, we feel these hideous symptoms, and it does some really bad stuff to us. So, it's real, people. We have it very well documented too. You can see our veins bulging and everything. So this is basic kindergarten comparison, Sesame Street type of skills. That's all you need to really even figure this stuff out. You don't even need a science degree. Although we used a lot we learned in the cancer clinic to figure all this out. Okay, so menopause, I think is fake. I think it is forced. Because really, you can stop and restart a woman's reproductive organs and all of that with chemicals. This is fact. How do I know this? In vitro fertilization, all of this stuff. So, telling you. So I'm not talking about chrysalis meaning menopause. I'm talking about the beautiful spiritual sense. See, that's something else too. These jokers, these Q people, they really like to mess around with what is holy. The apostles and Jesus as their leader, that's supposed to be holy. We're not supposed to be made into their sick image. We're supposed to be made into Jesus's and God's image and what he wants for us, not these sick people who do experiments like they did in Nazi Germany on all these poor Jew people. I mean, it's still going on. Yeah, people get kidnapped and captured. It's hideous what's going on. So, okay, my eyes watered and I shunned from my thoughts. Was I missing her? Yes, I was. I still miss her. The place in which the thorn of love was burrowed began to ache. Yes, I think I did miss her. With that, I was inspired to create another beautiful piece for the following summer, the Silent Rose. I love that. The inspiration, that beautiful piece of fabric from the Bee Flies photo. I knew nothing but that photo. I just took that photo that she showed me, and I would love to see that dance someday. I'm sure it's perfect and beautiful. But then I know I did something completely different because I never saw her dance, so I have no idea what it was. Anyway. Many holidays passed without Nana while I was working on my dance career and company. One afternoon, I pined to hear her voice. I wrote a journal entry on social media. Sometimes I do that. I'll make it public. Sometimes I keep it in my regular journal. Sometimes I do both. If I close my eyes really tight, December 3rd, 2011, if I close my eyes really tight, I can still see her face. It was the last time I'd see her, but she knew and I knew it'd be the last time I'd see her on this earth. Her heart belonged to God. I will see her again. I just miss her dreadfully so. Missing her more this time of year. I remember where I was when my cell alerted me. I knew it was my brother calling me to tell me of her passing. I couldn't answer, avoiding the truth. I kept speaking to the person I was with. I was with the Bee Fly. Oh, this battery's gonna go in a minute. When I got home, I listened to the voicemail and it confirmed my feet. If I cover my ears with my hands really close, I can still hear her voice calling me Angel. She loved calling me Angel. She called my son Potato. Remember that?
Yeah.
You're her little potato. Potato. But we're from back east. It's potato. I don't know why. I love spending Christmas with her and celebrating the birth of our Lord. I will use this time to celebrate all that was good. The mourning process was taking longer than I desired. It hurt to breathe. It hurt to stand still. It hurt to think about her. It hurt not to think about her. I couldn't win. I had no peace. It was with the furtherance of my dance company that I completely realized all the horror I had suffered through in my short life could be redeemed by helping others. Some people work as counselors, some are doctors, some are authors, and then there was me, a dancer. I used dancing to help people. I tackled heady subjects such as death, miscarriage, abortion, cancer, and many other social issues. Our following of fans grew, and I found myself leading a small group of dancers to venues and places I didn't. It will continue in a minute. At 1:34. Right about there. didn't think I'd ever see. Red Rubans' Shattered Innocence remained the top requested repertoire piece. Yeah, and then it became Court of Air and Silent Rose. People love all of our stuff. They're like, Too Art of Brokenness, it's so cool and creepy and, you know, Orwellian and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want. Glad to do it for you. Come on now. Yeesh. There we go. It's not working. Alright. Rouges Dance continued to grow in its members and reputation. We performed in Santa Barbara, Mexico, San Diego, Monterey, New York City, Brooklyn, Las Vegas, Temecula, San Marcos, all over Los Angeles and Hollywood. I was nominated for Performance Artist of the Year. It was 2012. And made it to the finalists with my dance partner at the time. Finally, financially speaking, we were still recovering from the negative effects treating cancer can have on a family. The emotional wound healing was in progress, but monetarily, things are not easily remedied. Imagine being lost in a dark labyrinth with no light, no clues, no map, and having to solve the riddle while physically stunted. Seemed impossible, and it still is, but we're somehow doing this. I don't know how. At times, it was, impossible. Each new venue was performed at Each new venue we performed at presented more hurdles than normal. If we traveled out of town, the question of where we could stay that was affordable and didn't have toxins, that was a problem. Oh my gosh, it just seemed like every time we did anything, it had to be excruciatingly, stupidly, almost impossible. And now to find out, we were sabotaged so many times. It's got to be Q. It's got to be. There's just no other reason for half this stuff. And then after a while, you think, wait a minute, something funny is going on. And then when you start looking into the funny, you find out it ain't funny at all. There's intention behind it. It's not good. So, you know, after a while, you get smart and you start seeing things for what they are. Fundraising took on more creative elements than our dance pieces at times, because we don't get grants. I'd love to, but other people are very snarky and they think, how do they get my ideas? That's because Q hears us. Somebody's using surveillance, gives them my ideas, and then when it comes time for us to submit, it's like we caught a lot of people copying us that way, and we called them out. But, you know, that's not fair. We should have gotten the grants. We should have gotten the performances. We should have gotten a lot of people copying my dances, and then if they use similar music by the same artist, and then they make all these cockamamie excuses like, oh, well, that's too downbeat, this one's upbeat. It's like, get out of here. It's the same dance. My dance being copied, and, you know, they won like thousands and thousands of dollars, and I'm like, that should have been our dance, and it looked like it. I didn't see it. Some of our friends saw it and said, hey, Noelle, there's a problem here, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm trying to be cool about it, but I'm like, it looks like Q propped up people that wanted to take my place. So, you know, I can do all these different talents, right? I can produce shows, I can dance, I can choreograph. So they kept taking those elements of me and making another one that looked not like me, but similar, the hair and all that, and gave them different names and said here, and then they lifted that person up, and then all of a sudden when I'm trying to do the same thing, and always had been, I didn't even know about these people, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're emulating me, and it was just getting to be so overwhelmingly obvious that there was something going on, and we found out what it was. Not good. We even sent a cease and desist letter to one person, and apparently their attorney, and I was like, I think I know this person, and they sent words that we said in private and put it in the cease and desist letter. Same thing happened with the trademark office. We were talking about something similar, and they put those words from my private conversation, we were just bullshitting, and then they used it in an official document and sent it to us as why they were rebutting our thing, our trademark. And I'm like, why are they using my words for this? It was really nasty. And so after a while, I used to catch on and you say, wait, something's up here, So, there's that. So fundraising. I taught hundreds of dance classes to fund the company. We had successful shows. The funds went to paying people and into the company at the end of each show. I hardly got paid. I should have paid myself a lot more than I did. I just took whatever was left over. I paid everybody else first. That's just because I'm a good person. Other people like, no, you gotta pay me, and they're that way. You see how I'm emulating that? They're real snots. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna pay everybody else first. And then what's left over, that's what happened. At first, none of us got paid. None of my dancers. And I kept promising them, it's like, I know where my dance company is going. If you want to stick around, we have all this great stuff planned. And, the Lois Greenfield photo shoot, I wanted, there were a couple of my dancers I wanted to bring with me to be a part of that. And they decided not to be a part of my company anymore. So I'm like, I'm not going to invite you to do this. No way, And that's what they get. I'm not trying to be mean and nasty about it. It's just that, I kept telling them, I can't, because I couldn't share that. You can't share that kind of information. You have to keep it quiet because, you have competition and it's trade secrets, it's your formula, and, by law, all that stuff is protected. So I couldn't share it. And I said, please, just give me another year. And they missed it by this much, and I just kept trying to say they could have been on the calendar with me maybe, but you know what? I guess God saw Jesus, God, maybe, I don't know, but whatever. The universe did not want them to be a part of that. And, maybe rightfully so, because maybe they weren't good people. I don't know. I would hope that wasn't the case, but that's where my generous heart is. I always want to incorporate people in things, and then when they backstab me, of course I'm not going to say, oh, jump on board, it's not too late now, come on. I give people many benefits of the doubt and many chances, but after a while you got to say, look, you had 10 chances here. You had more than most people would give you, so that's just sad. But anyway, I taught hundreds of dance classes to fund the company. We had successful shows. The funds went to paying people and into the company, and at the end of each show we found ways to barter, borrow, and in the very early days, babysit. I didn't babysit, but you do what you have to do to make things happen. As time progressed, we had charity fundraising galas, special showcase performances, donors, and grants. Now, the only grant we did get was a space subsidy from my mentor. So, and that's what the grant is talking about. But it should say grant and not grants, because we were just hoping we were going to get more. We were a shoo-in, so when I had written this, I thought, oh, okay, well, let's just put grants because we should get this. There's no reason why we shouldn't. And a lot of people are saying, oh, yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't. And we didn't get it. Everyone was very shocked. And our donors, we had people that would donate in different ways to help us. It wasn't a lot. Like, we did whatever those online, what do you call it, fundraiser things are. We had amazing opportunities and saw some of the greatest sights. There's a beautiful country out there if only we took the time to view it. As my company started to tour, we were all getting very fatigued. It had taken its toll on all of us, and a few of my dancers had to resign because of other life commitments. Losing anyone saddens me greatly. I get attached, I fall in love with all people, especially my dancers. At this point, my board and I decided that I should perform alone or do trios or duets. It would be more economical and less in my responsibilities. During the submission process to venues and festivals, 70% of the acceptances were for my solo pieces. They liked my dancers and my ensemble pieces, but they wanted me no matter how hard I tried to persuade them otherwise. My mentors encouraged me to do large cast pieces. This is confusing since as a mentee, you trust your mentor's judgments. However, my board wanted me to grow and couldn't grasp why some of my mentors didn't understand that people wanted to see me. Nana often said to give of myself and don't hold back selfishly. Noelle, they came to see you and want to feel your presence. They want to feel your experience. That's where I got feel the experience from. That's our Rouges multimedia dance drama. Feel the experience comes from. The board laid out the pros and cons for me going solo, at least for a time. There was nothing negative about my performing solo except one thing. This petrified me. I was fine in a group, and since that 2007 performance at college, I never got nervous as long as I wasn't alone on stage. Performing solo was I got over that too. 136 and 137. I can't tell if you can see this. Okay. Skill. Hold on. Performing solo was a skill I needed to develop. My board knew that. They also knew that when I was on stage, eyes went to me. My board somehow convinced me to try doing a solo. I had already performed one in a test run at a college, and it went well, save for my anxiety attacks. Yeah, I remember that. The instructors were extremely supportive of me and wanted to see me do well. This was at that one school where the people I taught. During our board meeting, it was a crazy, weird thing. Sometimes it was great, and other times it was like, let's get Noelle. And I'm like, what the hell happened? What did I do now? The answer is nothing. It was cute. And the crazy school administration leaders, not the secretaries. When I say administration, I'm talking about the higher up people. Some of them loved me, and then when it changed hands, they just, I don't know, they got crazy. Okay. During our board meeting, I let out a sigh and nodded my head reluctantly. Okay, I would try taking the solo Gethsemane on the road. I had laughed at the irony of it all. The word Gethsemane has a few meanings. It comes from a Hebrew Aramaic word, Gashemanim. I could be really butchering how it's pronounced. It means pressing of oils or an oil press. In the ancient days, olives were pressed between two large stones until it was refined into oil. A threshing floor in many ways. The title is used metaphorically as an abstracted connection. Is this still going? Yeah, sorry guys. How a human soul can be pressed and pressed until it finally has no other choice but to make a decision to succumb or overcome. We overcome. Woohoo! In order to survive, one must overcome. The symbolism in the title of my piece, the meaning of the word, and what I personally was experiencing was similar. I very much felt like my heart was being squeezed and pressed. This would also become more significant a few months later, that year, perhaps a foreshadowing of my life events that would rocking the boat, would cruelly unfold. The first professional venue I presented this piece was in Santa Barbara at Center Stage Theater. Intimate, but not too small. Big enough to scare the hell out of me. One of my most sweetest and spunkiest mentors encouraged me deeply. I then performed it at one of my dear friends' festivals in Santa Monica at the Miles Playhouse. As I traveled along my creative road, I developed and added to this piece in length and thought. I changed the name to Decision. I felt that depicted the piece more and conveyed my deepest heart about it all. There always comes a time in life when we must make a decision. I also didn't want it to sound so overly religious, although a viewer could extract that valid meaning from it as well. Another mini festival in a black box theater in Pasadena, produced by my mentor, provided an opportunity to dance solo again. So I was touring solo for a little while to build up the money in the company again and to just kind of get away from the craziness of all my dancers. And we had people that sought us out, and I had a good intention, but they did not, and they just wanted to like mutiny and destroy my relationships, and they did. So when that happens, you just do it yourself for a little while and just kind of chill, and you rebuild again. So I had dozens of comforting arms around me to hold me from exploding or imploding, as it often felt like my insides were quaking with nausea and fear. The lights went out, the theater was dark, and magic began. My solo would end up soon, and my Nana's soothing voice came to me in my need like a sweet vision. Angel, are you afraid? I found myself biting my bottom lip. I know that a lot. and nodding my head. Then do it afraid, you will not break, you will become stronger. Reminiscing about my Nana brought a calming salve to my anxiety. It is always important to remember that your feet know the way and guide you in the midst of a storm, even though the storms that came my way would throw me off balance. My feet, okay, this is 138, 139. Like I'm reading. I used to do the little kindergarten class reading, but wait, how old were you when I used to go to your class and read stories?
Me?
Yeah, remember I used to help your teacher out?
The grade might have been first or second grade.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't remember my age.
I don't either, but whenever that was. I'd do story time and read and all sorts of fun little things. That's great. I feel like I'm doing that now. I had to set my hair free. That hat was getting hot. Okay. My feet knew the way and would meet the floor and guide me. My feet always know what to do. My head maybe not, but my feet do. I ferociously performed my solo. I'd always been working on, because I had so much ballet and lyrical background, and then I did musical theater dancing, which is completely different. Modern is very into the floor, and it just pounces, and it's very athletic nowadays, which I love. And so I wanted to incorporate more of that into my presence, so it wasn't just like an airy, light little thing. It would be like, you know, really strong and fast and hard, and with jabs and punches, and you know, more athletic and strength to my presence, instead of just, because I can do that too, but now I like to do more intense work, you know. Getting there, it takes time. Oh my gosh, all that I worked for, I didn't lose it, it's just that amount of practice. I do a little bit of ballet every day, but you know, modern, I can't really do it on the pavement because I do shoulder rolls and everything like that, and ever since the accident, I had a spinal cord injury, so I had to learn how to do a lot over again, and I lost flexibility, and I have never looked up. Oh my god. That's what these cute people do. They keep pushing me down again, and then they allow me to be built up, and I was like, I don't want these people bothering my life or anybody's lives anymore. This is getting a bit ridiculous, so we'll see what happens. Okay. My feet knew the way, yeah, and would meet the floor and guide me. I ferociously performed my solo. I never see the audience, but they see me. Because the lights, sometimes I can see a face here and there. That's kind of cool. I love that. But most of the time you can't. It's so hard to see out there. I feel them and I make them feel me and what I'm expressing on stage in the moment of passion. After my bow, I ran off stage and vomited. Oh yeah, I remember that, in the bathroom sink backstage. Tears often followed. I was done. It was done. It was done well. Vomit prevention would become a continual growth process. Yeah, it is hard, guys. Some people are just so into themselves and they're just like, yeah, I can do it, no problem. It took me a while to build up. Now it's not a big deal at all. I'm not saying it pride, but it took time. After my bow, hold on. I could only think of one person that might be able to cure me of this, the butterfly, but she was not there. She wasn't there. But there was one thing, I always have a red ribbon with me, always, to remember where I came from. And I keep something, I'm not going to give it away what it is, but it's something that I can hold in my hand that I have kept. And I felt like the Lord said, keep this. It was what it was part of a Christmas present that I gave her, and I felt like the Lord said, just keep this portion of it until I tell you to surrender it to her. And I always thought, well, maybe, what was that?
I don't know.
What was that? Was it your chair? Did we run over something?
I don't know. She's still there.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, could have been the lid. Might have
The lid?
when we hit that bump.
Is this, do we need to check it?
No.
Sounded like it came from my chair or something.
It sounded like your chair adjusting, huh?
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, I felt like the Lord said to keep it in my care until, and always with me. So I dance with it, and I have it on my person somehow, some way, always, just in case He says give it to her now. And I had always thought, well, maybe it would be, I don't know if she knows the Lord or not, and at this point I don't even know if Jesus and the whole thing is real, because things that we're finding out, I'm like, oh. But hopefully it is, because it's kind of nice and sweet. But I'm finding out that, well, I'll tell you that in another video. So I always thought that it would be something I would surrender to her upon her salvation moment, if she wasn't saved, or some special moment, and that never happened. So I still have it. I'm a dreamer sometimes, I guess. I don't know. I still have it. Sad. My bee fly. Now see, I have a lot of bee flies, but she was the original one. Let that be known. And I was always like the rose, and they would always come back to me and leave and come back, and I'm like, you know what? It's about time that y'all stayed with me, because I'm a good person, and I want to be around good people. You know, after what I've been through, I need a strong circle around me that's going to help me kick tail. Okay, I'm going to start making myself cry. I can't keep going to this. Okay, one of my colleagues tapped their knuckles on the door and asked if I was okay. I didn't know how to... Ow. 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 That's not good. And asked if I was okay. I didn't know how to answer that. Yes, I was okay, but I needed to get a hold of this problem. I was a professional dancer beleaguered by what amounted to as butterflies in my stomach. I felt butterflies in my stomach. I felt childish. She came in and stroked my back. What happened? She asked. It's really stupid, but I got nervous when I get nervous when I'm by myself, because when I was around 14, I had a guy stalking me. He was a voyeur creeper kind of guy. Long story, but I have a bad reaction when this type of thing happens. I'm fine though. I had to get over that, and I got over that. But see, this guy apparently was watching me, and then when I started working at a fast food restaurant when I was 14, we lived in a motel that we managed, my family and I I helped out. I would help Nana. She lived with us then, and she would clean the units, you know. It was cool. I had my own room, but you know, it really was, you know, what do you do when you're 16 and somebody's creeping on you and putting notes underneath their cash register saying that they wanted you to have their children? It was was like, I'm 16. I can't have anybody's children right now. I'm still a child. Are you kidding me? And my boss took care of that. I just said, look, this is happening too much. I don't know who this guy is. And then it dawned on me, he wrote one note, and I don't have these notes. I gave it. I was like, I don't want this. And he said he used to watch me like shower, and I'm like, how'd you watch me shower? And I'm like, oh my god, you know, the window in my suite, my unit, and that's pretty bad. Telling you, that's what Q wanted for me, to always have this thing like that. And I'm like, no, but why should I? I should be a free person. And I'm working on that. I wiped my brow and fixed my face, and we greeted the audience in the foyer. A gentleman approached me and introduced himself as a director-producer. I hadn't heard of him before. I came from a strong film background and knew a lot of the names in the business and worked with some. He wanted to use me in his next dance film, and I ended up doing it. He said he'd hoped I'd come out. He wanted to meet me. He had asked several people who the redhead was. Everyone he asked presented another red-headed dancer to him. She had the prettiest strawberry blonde hair, my natural color. When I perform, you see how it gets even redder than this. When I perform, I tint it because it really shows up nice on stage. And it sometimes I'll use tint, dye, or henna depending on what's available, how I'm feeling, and all that. But it's really like red. It's beautiful actually, and it washes out after time. And you know, but this is pretty close. This is my natural color right now. Pretty close. Anyway, everyone, he had presented another. She had the prettiest strawberry blonde hair, my natural color. She was a good technical dancer. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with redheads, obviously. I'm complimenting her. No one thought to share my name, though. Not even my mentors, which was odd. He said, no, not that redhead, the redhead. He told me the other one was good, but that I was great. So, see, it's not just about technique. And it's not that my technique sucks at all. I'm not, when I go out there to dance, I'm not there to show off my technique. Oh, I could do that if I wanted to. And I did a dance that showed it off and combined my message. I never wanted to do that, though. I just had messages that I wanted to get across. So modern dance was the vehicle. Go look at my videos. Storm, where I'm wearing the black dress and my hair is wrapped up in a tight bun. I think I had a clip in back for that one, and at the end I take that black dress off and I have a red, like a negligee on. It's really pretty. I made both dresses, and I'm doing chaîné turns, and instead of doing the arms like a ballet where you put them in front and curved, it's like this. And I changed it up a little bit, but there's strong technique in that piece for sure with modern. And everybody was so astounded they didn't know I could dance like that. And I was like, well, I never had a reason to show off, and I'm still not showing off. Because some people in class, they're just there to show off, and it's like, okay, great, you put your leg up there like this, but can you really dance? And so dancing isn't just about technique, it's about the presentation, the person who's performing, yes, of course, technique, it's all of it packaged together. And apparently, especially that one solo I did, called Storm Part 1, I think, something like that, I can even say, critically speaking, that I was proud of what I did. That really showcased my technique very well, so you can go watch it on our YouTube channel. But if you look at our other stuff, it's all like, you know, modern. Some of it's really pedestrian, some of it has dancey stuff in it, you know. Anyway, that's what he said. These are not my words. I was intrigued, but I also told him that I don't do film anymore, but would consider his offer. It was a paid production, and I wanted to find out more. We had many meetings. Whoopsie. So let me go back. I was intrigued, but also told him that I don't do film anymore, but I would consider his offer. It was a paid production, and I wanted to find out more. We had many meetings, and he eventually won me over. I loved his concept. He hired me to do the choreography and dance. Contracts and all things were put in place, and a film was about to be made, and I was so happy. With each performance I did, either solo or with my dancers, our reputation continuously grew, especially in Los Angeles. I had people who I didn't know, come up to me on the street and say that they saw me dance and would ask for a selfie, two-shot, or an autograph. It was strange at first because I'm just a small town girl that lives in a big city who has a country girl heart. I tended to shy away from this type of thing. I did my best to be gracious and friendly. I often turned the attention on them and wanted to earnestly get to know them as human beings. I'm much better one-on-one, as I said. I like to find out what I can do to help others. I gotta show the page. Sorry, 140, 141. As long as there weren't any voyeurs around, I'd be alright. See, even when I wrote this book, I'm like, there's something wrong. It's like, is it really because people saw me dance? Or are these people put in my pathway to bother me on some level? You know, to creep me out intentionally. And it's just, I didn't like it. Still don't. But my fans don't treat me like these crazy people that were around lately. It's not the same thing, I don't think. I had experienced a taste of fame throughout my life. Each time I pushed it away. Notoriety caused me to feel as if others owned me and left little time for myself. Always being scheduled to go, to do, to be something or somewhere. Often I would step outside and seek solitude from the noise. When this happened, I would think, this is a moment in my day when I own myself. I don't answer to anyone at that time, and I can still hear my heart beating. It's still there. I'm still breathing. I'm not broken, but my heart may be frozen. I was undoing the damage with the end. See, I took that line and I put it at the beginning of the chapter. I'm not broken, but my heart may be frozen. That's kind of what I saw in this chapter. You might get something out of it differently, which is fine. One of our company's favorite commissioned works was for a passion play at an enormous church. It was a church we went to, actually, too. The auditorium seated over 1,500, and we performed at least 10 times. This was our biggest audience for our company yet. We portrayed angels and danced in 2 sections of this theatrical multimedia play depicting the Passion Week in the Bible. I was asked to do a solo for a flashback sequence depicting the birth of a baby in a manger, obviously Jesus. I agreed and was terrified again, stating simply I didn't like doing solos. They assured me that there would be 2 other people on stage portraying Joseph and Mary, and then they had a little dolly. Baby Jesus. They wouldn't be dancing but acting. It gave little comfort. I did it afraid. My performance was on point, and I busted out consecutive turns from 5th flawlessly. I just didn't like the feelings of all eyes on me and the butterflies in my stomach. One of the nights I looked out into the audience to try to see them. I was curious to see who was out there. On my way over towards center stage in the middle of a jeté, I was able to stop and take a dramatic pause. It was too dark to see most of them, but I did see a beautiful young girl, I remember this, in the front row, which was extremely close to the stage. Even with my poor eyesight, I saw her big eyes staring at me. I wondered if I was inspiring her to become a dancer, or was she already dreaming of doing it? I remember the first time I saw a ballerina on stage, I was in awe. These were the eyes that were now looking up at me. Quickly, I got over myself and my fears for that moment, and I finished my dance just for her. We never know whose hearts we may touch with our deeds and words. It was the best I performed that section. During the blackout, lights go out, that's a blackout, just in case you didn't know that. Stage was clear for me to exit. I had been so deep in the moment that I didn't quite make it to my mark in holding my position, and when I swung around, I found my right hand that was along my side suddenly immersed in water. I found they had a baptismal tank there, and in the dark I'm feeling around because I couldn't see my mark on the floor. The glow tape wasn't glowing for some reason. And my hand ended up feeling around, like, where am I? And my hand went into the baptismal tank. I'm like, oh no. That's a bad sign. They didn't drain it. The set was built around it since it sat off to the side of the stage where I exited. That's kind of funny. One other funny, not so funny moment happened on the night the fog machine was working overtime, and we danced down the flight of stairs onto the stage. We couldn't see very well. One of my dancers says, "Noelle, what did we do?" I knew she was referring to having to do our turns and the spotting issue. I spoke loud enough for her to hear me. The light, we had to spot a light. There was a light way in the back. I think it was a red light right here. This is page 142, 143. That was really hilarious. But not at the same time, because you can get hurt, From off stage to keep our bearings, the fog kept building to the point that the audience couldn't even see us or anything occurring on stage. It was like, it was so thick, I can't even describe it. I could see maybe this far in front of me. It was horribly thick. Ironic too, I guess. And now we're talking about all this fog being toxic with the dust and everything. Oh my god, you guys, this is hilarious. Fog kept building to the point that the audience couldn't even see us or anything, excuse me, occurring on stage. We cut our performance short for the sake of safety and fumbled in the fog to grab each other's hands. We chased 2 steps to where we believed the Christ was. Yeah, he was an associate pastor who played Jesus. You could hear a voice say, "Over here." It was great live theater. When all went well, this was the most enraptured moment for me. When all went well, this was the most enraptured moment for me, was dancing through a fog. Oh, okay. As the Christ was about to roll away the stone to show his resurrection. It was very powerfully staged. The music, the audience, the scenery, the costumes and textures, it was magical and felt like being in the Garden of Gethsemane. I don't consider myself a religious person and don't have prejudices against any religion or faiths, but I have to admit this final scene of the resurrection was very powerful. To see someone who was dead rise again is breathtaking. The voices over 100 cast members singing was ominous and victorious. That was an amazing crescendo, and we ended our victory dance posing around Jesus. We have pictures on my Facebook. We're like that with our arms. A little corny, but I had to do what the director wanted us to do. Like, okay, now center around him. Okay, got it. Interesting fact, I knew this young gentleman portraying Jesus would go on to pastor a church someday in the future, and he did several years later along with his beautiful wife. This was an incredible honor to partake in, and everyone's so pleased with our performance. Well, most everyone. Yeah, some people in the church, the elders or something, were like, how come you're letting them do dancing like this and that? It's like, you know what? David danced before the Lord. Nobody was there, so how do we know what he did? We were doing ballet. disgusting, seedy, sexual about ballet. And then all of a sudden they let people do hip hop with bumping and grinding with little kids doing it. And I'm like, something wrong with you people. Yeah, at a church. It just seemed to me that somebody was a little jealous in a church. Christians. Some people had a difficult time accepting dance performance in a church. So lame. Keep in mind, this wasn't for a church service, a baptism, or entertainment. This was 6 beautiful women, including me, all with faith-based backgrounds doing ballet in very modest white flowing dance gowns. White leotards, white tights underneath. There was nothing scant or sexual about this piece. This was not an exhibition of the body or pelvic gyration. This was a beautifully executed classical ballet technique. Rumor had it that it was some of the elders, I just said that, who had a conniption about it all. The audience loved it and became dedicated friends of our company and completely supported us. I close this paragraph with the scripture reference for those who are too rigid to see the beauty. They leapt and danced before the Lord. Most likely it was Davidic dancing, but I'm fairly certain that the Lord, if he even cared, was well pleased with our ballet performance. You're right?
Yeah.
In the midst of the successful Southern California tours and performances, my mom called and told me she was selling her boat and moving back to Vegas. I was so happy. I was ecstatic and curious as to why the big rush to get back home. I hadn't seen her since Nana passed on. She would be near and we could finally do many things together. We began to make plans for our upcoming dance festival that January, and she wanted to help sew costumes for my company. She's really good, and she taught me a lot of what I know how to do with costumes. So. We would have quality bonding time that we both longed for, too many years overdue, but she would evade, and that caused me to become fatigued with chasing her. I don't know what was going on. Maybe someday I'll know. I don't know. My mom habitually ran away from situations and people. At least it looked that way to me. She never stopped running. Anytime I mentioned it, she'd switch the subject. Mom, what are you running from? Are you still teaching dance classes? She just wouldn't address it. 144 and 145. I wanted to tell her to be free, but don't run. One heals the past, the other relieves the past. Relives the past. Let me do that again. One heals the past, the other relives the past. And I need to take that advice for my own self sometimes. Ugh. There was a deep desire to be closely connected to her again. I loved her smile, her voice, her hugs, everything. It is somewhat of an analogy. The rose still loves the butterfly. It is there somewhere, buried beneath the decay of autumn leaves. Woundings and past hurts can be like autumn leaves. They're signs of death. A withering on the vine, branches. Something has changed and broken off, but this isn't always a bad or negative thing. It's a sign of life yet to come. Seeing a butterfly with the wispy wintry winds subtly appearing as a sign of winter on the way, and it's a reminder of what will come next, a rebirth in the spring. The rose blooms, the butterfly gets their wings, and life grows again. So even though it may seem like a dark and cold winter on the way, the rose will always remember the love of spring and the joys of the butterfly. Something had changed this time, and she was coming home. Maybe she finally stopped running. You never win by running. You win by fighting and being a warrior. Ew, I gotta take my words for advice right now. That's all I can say. She truly was a warrior. I think she just needed to be reminded of that. My son and I took a walk that afternoon, and he asked me when the last time was. I prayed for my mom. He knew I prayed for the butterfly more. I said that I stopped praying for her years ago. I gave up because I became weary. He said that I should start praying for her again. It wasn't too late for us to have a good relationship. I took our son's advice and asked God to soften her heart. My son saw a butterfly pass overhead. Mom, look, a butterfly, that's what he said to me. It was a monarch spreading its vibrant orange wings. I thought of another woman's heart along with my mother's that day. It was still hot as the fall of 2012 approached. See, you guys, this weather thing, this is just cute putting that crappy shit in the air. It makes it hot. Yeah, icy hot packs, you ever use them? It's a chemical reaction that makes it hot or cold. Same type of idea behind it. I was training with 2 very intense choreographer dancers during this time to get me physically ready for the independent dance film. We were scheduled to shoot in November with the gentleman and his wife that had seen me perform in the Pasadena show. He had a very professional crew, lovely assistants, and his costumer extremely talented, which was, I think, his sister. Very good, actually. We had several rehearsals, fittings, photo shoots, and meetings about the details. Every day I stayed disciplined, watched my health, diet, and weight. I built up my stamina and strength, and I did the best I could to overcome the insomnia that started to plague me. I carried on with my routine. September 18, 2012, I purchased painted lady caterpillars. I wanted to witness the life cycle of a butterfly with my own eyes and be a part of the mystery of transformation. I questioned mortality, life, and how beings can change, whether it was from a creation being birthed or life essence being taken away. This fascination aspect of evolution piqued my curiosity and eye. It's 146 and 147. Should be good, I think, right? And I wanted to harness more understanding for these almost mythical creatures that haunted and taunted me at times with their presence. Their transcendent, like qualities gave insight into the divine. What was life, and did we choose to start or stop breathing, or was it chosen for us? On the day of execution, right, Betty? Only woman knew smile. Why is Bowie singing that? He ain't singing about himself. He don't go around executing people. How did people change, and what elements would catapult them to change? I felt as if the butterfly could show me an answer. I was a visual person. Maybe I could see the answer. It would help me. I had already choreographed a piece called The Silent Rose, which was about a rosebud afraid to bloom and a butterfly learning how to use its wings. The metamorphosis and life cycle fascinated me as an artist. September 19th, my brother called me. He asked briefly how I was doing and got to the point of his phone call rather urgently. Our mom was in the hospital. Mom wasn't one to go to the doctor or anything. She would never do it or go to the hospital unless it was dire. I nervously fidgeted with the drawstring on my sweatpants. I frantically asked my brother if Mom was alive and what happened. He said she was alive and he didn't know a lot. He didn't want to worry me as he knew how I was. I could tell he was more concerned about me and how I was taking the news, so he worked on redirecting me to the positive. Let's wait for the test results. Noelle, you okay? I was quiet while my brother waited on the phone for my reaction. Yeah, I barely whispered. Yeah, I'm okay. I got this. Call me when you hear more. Can I call Mom? I can call her. Yeah, I'll call Mom. What hospital? What room is she in? He told me she's in the ER, but I could try calling in a couple days. He said he'd let me know what was going on. I felt that he wasn't fessing up everything, but I didn't want to press him. We hung up, and I was a wreck. I had just talked to her. She was just in San Diego for my niece's birthday. She was fine, and she was going to be fine, and I convinced myself. I told my son, my husband would happen. We did the only thing we felt we could do, that's pray. What else can you do when things are out of your control? I also grabbed my favorite wine and had a quick glass. I posted on my Facebook wall that my mom needed prayers. I wasn't ready to let her go and hope that it wasn't a major health problem. 148, 149. And that is how we will conclude this reading in this book. transcendence, the word, their transcendent-like qualities. Transcendence. I got a hold of Berlin's album Transcendence, and this was written before that, but I'm just saying, it just made me think of it. Oh, you know what? Let me continue this real quick. We got a few minutes here, right? These are all these pictures, might as well. And Nana left could easily have been a screen goddess. She was gorgeous. Mom writes, stunning child. We refer to this as a Gerber baby photo. Both beauties. Nana below, a dancing majorette. Very flexible. I have a photo of me like this online. Facebook.com/Rubans Rouge Dance. So here we go. Minona. Mama. Minona again. You've seen me do these pictures, right? And then I turned it upside down. And it looks like I'm dancing on the ceiling. Funny. Nana's mom, Anna, is the bride on top. I was named after her. One of my middle surnames is Anna. Quite the scandal then, because Italians and Sicilians marrying was a faux pas. Her brothers and sisters, 23 total. I think that's the right number, but it's a lot. Not all pictured. Joselina, Josefina, Josemina, you get the idea. The gentleman, bottom row, furthest right, is Egyptian and Sicilian. He's African somehow. I have African blood in my heritage, cool beans. Middle, one of the homes I lived in on Union Street. Back right window is my room, the garage where Nana and I made our stage. Bottom, Limburg, grade school, looks nothing like this now. So anybody listening to this, if you memorize it, there's so much stuff that you don't know about me. And we're gonna catch you so bad. Horrible people. Okay, so that's, what was that?
I have no idea.
Can we pull over and check things out?
Alright. Yeah, let's make sure the thing is intact.
Yeah, because there's some weird shit noise going on here. It must be love. This was at Carluccio's Italian restaurant in Las Vegas. My Aunt Diane and Uncle Paul took us out for our 5th wedding anniversary. We love Disney films. We used to, then we found out some insidious, snarky stuff. Can you guess which ones we're emulating? This is our son taking care of me when I was very sick. He always snuggled up with me and got whatever I needed. So if I needed, like, get me some water, some bread, you know, he'd always run to the refrigerator and help me. He was such a sweetie, he still is. Sometimes he would dance and jump around to make me smile. And my husband and our son, there was always music of some kind in our home. My husband was working on a music score that earned him an Emmy nomination in 2004. Our wee one decided to crawl underneath and join him in the queue. Oh shit.
They fall?
Yeah, but, you know. Is it the speaker that's doing that? Or there's something crunching. Hold on, guys. Here we go again with the turning. Mom was a bit of a daredevil at times. This is her skydiving. I'm pretty adventurous, but this wouldn't be something I'd do or try. Kudos to you, Mom. I'm still working on the Ferris wheel heights issues. I got over that, by the way. That's my mom skydiving right here. She's an amazing lady. Mom was such a beauty in her high school grad photo. I'm in both shots. Baby me, and then her, she was pregnant with me. You can see my strawberry blonde hair in the original shot. Embryo me right. So I was in her belly. That's little baby me there. Mom was a couple months pregnant with me. Apparently that Easter was she was very fertile. Whatever. Mom and I at Dean Gandalf. Yes, that's his real name. Awesome. Like Lord of the Rings, you know. That's his real name. They were friends of our family and still are. Mom's cute little bobbed hairstyle, which she wore most of her life. She would change it up to suit the decade. She only had it super long during the late 70s and looked like Arwen in The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, and my dad's second wife, my stepmother, she looks like Eowyn. Very earthy, blonde, very pretty. They were both beautiful. My mom has an elegance beauty, you know, a little different than the earthy. Rouges Dance's first company photo shoot. That's the top. It took 2 hours. We did a lot of acro yoga at the time. And this is my troupe here. Isn't that cool? I'm right here. And then one of my mentors choreographed oh, don't do that. Oh, he's doing it. Okay. Every time someone moves, it just shifts us. It was an honor for me to dance for her since she seldom choreographed for performances. One of the best contemporary artists I've worked with who mentored me. And that would be me here. Okay. You know, there's a lot of pictures in this. How is everything?
It's fine.
Well, something is